Hello, I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat, a show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I have been working with ADHD in private practice and in my former employment for over 40 years. And I'm also the parent, father, obviously, of two ADHD kids. And I married into an ADHD family, and I'm looking at my own family with fresh eyes, and I've got a few people in there that I'm concerned about. But ADHD um, is one of those this one of those disorders that's uh, gets a lot of different kind of press about it, and usually, I'm pretty good with, okay, there are people out there with ADHD who are doing real well in life. There are da 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 da. And then just recently, for instance, a very well respected psychologist has been all over Facebook doing comments, and he is so depressing about ADHD and is so, you've got to do this or else, and bad things happen. I never have considered myself a little Mary Sunshine, but sometimes, and that for some reason really this guy talking really got to me, it was like, whoa, God, this is and then I have to build myself up. I have to think. And he was particularly hard on the idea of people saying that it's a difference, not a disorder. Frankly, that's a little bit academic and distant for me. I don't really care. Uh, what I want is the best for my kids and for other kids who are diagnosed or even not diagnosed, but should have been, well, with ADHD. The deal is you can't let yourself get depressed about it as a parent. You can't just, oh, this is terrible. This is horrible. Why did this have to happen? Why, all those other things that I have no answer to. There's nothing you can do about it except do the best you can with what you got. And that is, and sometimes things work out and sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes um, when you thought you had the whole situation kind of under control and everything's smooth and we got our routines and we're doing great. And then, a car accident happens or marijuana happens or beer happens or all kinds of things like that. And you have to rebuild your faith. And I do it pretty regularly, actually. Okay. One of the things I hold on to is the fact that a lot of people with ADHD have been extremely successful in their lives. Okay, we've got what do we got? We got Michael Phelps, we got uh, Bill Gates, even uh, Justin Timberlake, Simone Biles, Emma Watson, and a whole bunch of other people who have really distinguished themselves um, academically, musically, athletically, uh, artistically. All those kinds of things are important to keep reminding yourself. Okay, it's not exactly the same thing as saying it's not going to affect you, but it's the same thing. It's definitely saying it's not going to affect you so much that you can't succeed in your life. Okay, it just makes it a little more challenging. And if you're ornery and resilient and curmudgeonly, I guess is the way to say it. If you just don't give up, you never give up, you keep going. you're consistent and all those other things, you can handle this and it won't hurt you a bit, okay? Or it'll just slow you down a little bit. It's like everything else in life is you have to adapt and adjust. Um, I wanted to be sixth man for the Boston Celtics when I was a kid. Unfortunately, when I hit high school, I was 5'2". And fortunately, I grew some after that, but I was never going to play professional basketball. And I was, I had to adapt and adjust. I played varsity baseball. I played baseball through American Legion and all that other stuff. That was a game that a short guy and a guy who doesn't weigh 300 pounds can play and play well. Back in my day, we didn't really have soccer available, which would have been a great thing. I played that as an adult, but I never played it as a kid. But basically, that's all about adapting and adjusting, and that's what you have to do with ADHD. Okay, you've got the kind of brain that gets bored easily, the kind of brain that has trouble doing stuff just because I'm supposed to, and so you tend to be a little bit of a rebel, and sometimes you look like you're lazy. Like the uh, famous book, "You Mean I'm Not Lazy, Crazy, or Stupid?" That's what ADHDers have to deal with. Uh, if you don't think it about yourself, somebody else will think it about you, just because of the kind of difficulties you have, because your brain doesn't work the same way as uh, the society is constructed. I mean, and of course, one of the things we've got to be aware of is the school system was developed so you could get a bunch of workers who would who could read the instructions for the machinery at the factory. Basically, that's what it was designed for. And so it wasn't designed to encourage creativity. It wasn't designed to encourage independence. It was designed to make you a good, loyal factory worker or employee of the company, somebody who wouldn't make too many waves and who would just go along with the program, and was smart enough to follow instructions or read instructions, but not necessarily a real creative. Well, the ADHDers have a whole bunch of trouble with that because they tend to succeed in the jobs, the vocations, the situations that let them be creative, that let them use their problem solving abilities, let them use the way they look at things and see them from a slightly different angle than neurotypical people do. And they tend to be brilliant at solving unusual problems. That's what well, I think we're going to pay the piper for that one eventually, because I think our school system is in dire need of a overhaul and a redeveloping in a more forward thinking. Let's teach people how to think creative. Let's encourage that. Let's encourage philosophy. Let's encourage people think about the meaning of things. Let's encourage independent thought. What I am. And I'm obviously I've been in school a long time, uh, and well, except I was ornery, and I almost didn't get into. I graduated from college with sort of an indifferent record. Uh, had a heck of a good time, but I was set on being a journalist, and I was going to take over the Washington merry-go-round from Jack Anderson and uh, put the suckers in their place, and obviously what we see going on nowadays, somebody should have done that, and we haven't been doing a very good job of that. But the deal is you feel down as a parent every once in a while. It just gets to you. You know, you've got a bigger load than people who have neurotypical kids, and maybe not as big a load as some of the people who have kids with major medical problems, you know, cancer and tumors and all that sort of thing. But it's a big load, and it's compounded by the fact that a lot of people don't even believe in it. And, it's like, oh, what? That's nothing. That's just yes, bad parenting and crazy stuff like that. And as a parent of an ADHD kid, I remember distinctly being told that my child did not belong in their school. It's like, oh, oh, let me see here. I've got this kid who's a little hyper. He's so good-hearted, it's almost scary. He's got an IQ over 130, and he's not good enough for your flippin' school? Uh, that was back in the days when I was more used to following orders than I am now, and I was really ripped about that for a long time. But you have to, as a parent, you have to show your own resilience, and I don't know about anybody else, but the best ways I've found to do that are, first of all, to uh, write about it. I journal continuously. I almost always have steno pads are the cheapest, easiest thing to be using. Like this. They're cheap and they don't take up a lot of room and they're easier to write on because this nice spiral at the top doesn't get in the way. Whereas these fancy journals, you're always got the page curled as you get to the hinge, or the binding. Anyway, the deal though is, uh, one of the ways I find that's best for me to look at the whole ADHD thing is basically from the view, the guy who wrote the first book on hunter in a farmer society kind of topic was a guy named Tom Hartman, who is not really known as being a psychologist. He's not actually, and he has a son with ADHD, and that's what motivated him to write the book. But the deal with the he was saying that what the reason that we have such a problem with ADHD kids is not that they're sociopaths in training or anything like that. It's that the system is designed for people who sit quietly, will listen, and will basically do what they're told when they're told to do it. And that's the farmer mentality. Though my grandfather was a fairly, well, he was a very successful farmer, and he probably would have taken exception with that characterization of farmers, but I know the point that Hartman was trying to make. But the other side, the warrior, is like you think about what your child's brain naturally does would make him or her an ideal Stone Age hunter, a member of a hunting party back in the day when you had to watch out for the predators and find the food and remember where the food was the last time you found it and react rapidly, uh, and a lot of times be creative in your problem solving and do it almost instantly. And I try to hold that thought in mind because when I first read Hartman's book, I was thoroughly unimpressed. I thought, oh, this is too simple. It's not, and he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's not one of us. But which I meant psychologists, I guess. But anyway, uh, the older I get, the more I fall into the idea that he had a good idea, a good way of thinking about it, and it's one I use all the time when I'm trying to I get somebody saying, "Oh, this is a horrible disorder, and you don't get on medication right away, you're gonna fail miserably in life, and you're never gonna, well, you're this, that, or the other, you're never gonna do." So that farmer hunter dichotomy is helps me adjust, helps me adapt, helps me put up with it. Okay. And that and knowing. I used to give out in my office, I used to give out a thing to all the ADHD families, a list of famous people who had ADHD through the years. And Albert Einstein, maybe you'd think that might be somebody who's well, he's got a good brain. We know that. And but he was also a maverick. He did it his own way and didn't fit in really great with the predominant society that he was part of. So we know that there's a lot that people with ADHD have already done, a lot of successful things, a lot of brilliant things, a lot of novel things, new stuff, new ways of looking at things. I mean, the things I cherish the most, say, from my son, say, um, hyperactive type, great sense of humor. And he's sort of an amateur student of civilizations, I guess. I guess that's a historian, but he just knows all these facts about what happened in this era in this country 400 years ago, or, this, that, or the other. And his sense of humor is, he can just, do one right after another. Oh, yeah, and then, and when I get down about some things, that aren't going so well, uh, it's good to reflect on those things, those positive things. So basically, you've got the science, okay, which science doesn't try to do interpretations or how good or how bad this is. And frankly, you can't just say that all ADHDers are exactly like this, because there's so much variability. That is so many little differences that you can't be sure uh, that what one person is recommending is going to be what's going to be best for your kid, or what you should look out for your kid. So that's both the problem and the benefit, I guess. You've got to know your kid. You've got to know what his or her strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what do they enjoy, what do they like, what are they, you know, what are likely to be their strong areas, what would be the absolute worst thing they could be involved in, and encourage. They're going to go their own way, pretty much. They're not going to do it just because you order them to do it. Um, but you need to be enough aware, paying enough attention, to know what to re- recommend, to know what to encourage, and to look out for the things that are problematic. And you are unlikely to have much influence the older they get. Uh, but use what you have earned to get them so that they don't get facial tics every time you open your mouth. You will. I mean, I think the ultimate thing is the long view is that you want to have a good relationship with them uh, when they're adults. Okay, you don't want to. You can. You don't want to be a softie. You can't raise kids that way. You've got to have some use your authority, but you got to use it sparingly. Don't be the super permissive helicopter parent, uh, but do set some reasonable limits, and that's it's the best you can hope for. And some days it'll be a real squabble fest, and some days it'll be perfectly peaceful. So cherish those days because I don't know how many of them there are in the slot, but just do the best you can. Okay, so you're going to get down from time to time. You're going to feel down. Oh God, why? Am I doing enough? Am I doing what I should be doing? Is there more that all that sort of thing? You have to reassure yourself. You have to say, okay, yeah, ADHD is different, and society isn't really set up for ADHDers. And but some ADHDers do really well, but most of them do really well where they have a lot of control. Uh, you know, Being an athlete, you have a lot of control of at least one thing, which is what you do, how you react when the ball is hit or thrown or whatever. Those are things you can control. You have no control over, the coach obviously is in charge. The boss is in charge, but your contribution can be significant, and you can control that. So your job is to try to maintain yourself so you can keep going, so you can keep paying attention to what's going on and trying to do the best you can with it and make the best decisions you can with it, and so on. Okay, so that's about it for today. I am Dr. Terry James Gingras. This is Dr. G's ADHD Chat. My website is terrygingrassphd.com. You can sign up there for a discovery session with me, a freebie, and we'll see about if coaching for you would be a good thing, or for your family for that matter. And you can also sign up for my newsletter. So, and we will catch you next week, same time. And in the meantime, let's remember we're trying to make the world safe for ADHD. Okay.